People of Earth, it is I, the Great Goonan, and this is the Great Goonan Podcast, and I'm here today with comedian Carie Karavas, who's in her car, right? Where are you headed to? Are you on the run?
No, you know what it is? I'm an Uber driver. A lot of people don't understand. When you have kids, you are a stupid Uber driver, okay? You have to take them here, you have to take them there, you have to go karate, you got to wait. You know, it just never ends. It's a torturous job.
Yeah, I would understand that. Now, your name is Karavas. That's Greek. Do you know what your name means in Greek?
Karavas, Karavi means ship. So, like, that would be like a ship owner, but we're not ship owners.
Oh, okay.
Otherwise, I wouldn't be in a minivan if I was a ship owner.
Because I don't make jokes about people. I wasn't going to joke about Greek people, but I was going to ask you what the soup of the day was, or if I could have some more bread.
You know, it's funny you said that. The soup of the day today was egg drop soup.
What do you mean?
Chinese food. No, listen to me. Here's the thing. I used to own 2 restaurants. You know that, right?
Yeah.
Did you know? It was like a crazy time. It was like I was just getting out. When people didn't want to work anymore, that's when I know it was a bad business to be in. You know, when you would hire people and you would say, hi, listen, we have to mop the walk-in box every night. And he would say to me, me no moppy. I'm like, what? He's like, me no moppy. I go, you don't moppy? Well, what do you do? Me no moppy. I'm like, okay, so I guess I'll be mopping. So once I started seeing that, I was like, I'm out. Because now I'm mopping, I'm doing dishes, I'm doing the orders, I'm doing deliveries, I'm doing front, you know, like phone call. I couldn't do everything by myself. I just couldn't do it. Nobody wants to work.
A restaurant is crazy anyway. What kind of food was it?
Greek.
It was Greek food, so it was like...
It was called Gyrolicious.
Oh, you should dance under that name.
Yeah, I should. Gyrolicious. Nobody wants a fat stripper.
I don't know. I know a lot of people who do, but they're all black. So what was? Oh, you took your glasses off. You tried to be a little more milfish. I saw. Look at that. Oh, all
No,
right.
you know what it is? I'm not trying to be milfish, but the glare from the sun is kind of like weirding out the view. So.
Did you get married later in life?
I did 40. I was 40. That was a bad mistake. Bad.
It was a bad mistake.
Bad.
You're making
bad
a confession.
mistake. No, I'll tell you why it was a bad mistake. A, you're too desperate to be thinking clearly, and you're not going to get the man of your dreams at 40. You're not. You're too desperate. You want to have a baby. You know, you have like 2 eggs left. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, I was like so desperate. I would look at homeless guys in the city going, there's nothing wrong with this guy. And my friends are like, he's homeless. I'm like, yeah, but look, he's fine.
So before that, though, you were already a stand-up, right?
I've been a stand-up since 1987.
So basically what I'm asking you is that you went from like a stand-up sort of gypsy nocturnal existence to being a wife and a mother. How did you make that transition? What was that like, and how do you handle it now?
I never made the transition. You see these bags under my eyes? You can't ever, when you're a nocturnal person, when you're a night person, when you go to bed at 5 a.m. like it's normal, and then your whole life, and then you try to flip it, it's almost impossible. It's impossible.
It is.
It's just a lot of exhausted days. You know, you're just exhausted all day because, you know, last night I was up till 3:30 in the morning, and then I got up at 7. So, 8 o'clock I got up to take my son to, his SAT prep.
And being a comic, then how did you meet your husband? Was he in a club? Did he see you perform? Is that how?
Well, no, he didn't know I was a comic. I didn't tell him because I can't stand guys. Oh, tell me a joke. You know what? Can I curse?
Yeah.
Go fuck yourself. I don't want to tell a joke. But so I met him at a club one night. Now I was on a mission because, mind you, I was 39 years old and I literally had 1 egg left. I mean, I ended up getting two. But he was in a club one night, and I'm like, he's not that bad. I thought he was Spanish, you know. I thought he had a little flavor. Turns out he was a hairy Greek. But so when I met him, he liked me, you know, because I was skinny, I was cute, I had brown hair, whatever. So he was like, so what do you do? We were dating for like a month, and I still didn't tell him I was a comic. And then I go, well, what I do is a lot more, you know, exciting than what you do. So he thought I was a stripper. Right away. You can't tell somebody you're an entertainer. When you say I'm an entertainer, they're like, oh, she's a stripper. Or, you know, what are you, a singer? You know, like they never go to comic, you know. So you know, I go to him, no, whatever. So he never knew what I did. So one night I had a spot at Dangerfield's at, I think it was like 10:15, right? And I made reservations for us to have dinner across the street. And at like 10 o'clock, I go, come on, you know, whatever, I gotta go, let's go. I gotta go across the street to grab something. So we go in, and everyone's like, hey, Carie, right? So it's like, oh, she's probably a bartender.
He didn't make the connection yet. He still thinks he goes to bartender before he goes to comic.
Complete moron. The picture is on the wall. Now, meanwhile, I'm hilarious, and I make jokes. You know, I'm always sarcastic. You know, so I mean, I had this guy laughing the whole time. Now we're going into a comedy club. My picture is on the wall. He doesn't see it. I go, listen, you got to sit in the showroom for a minute. So I sit him in the showroom, and Nancy Redmond's on stage. I give her the sign that I'm there. And she introduces me, and I go on, and he's looking at me, and he goes, I still didn't understand that you were the comic. He goes, I'm like, what is she doing on stage? He goes, it took me like a good minute before I was like, oh, she's a comic. That's what I got at 40.
What did he do for a living?
He works for the railroad. He does nothing all day.
So, but he's Greek. Is your name your married name, or are you already Greek?
No, I was already Greek.
So
no, my married name is worse, but you know, yeah, no, I kept my name because I didn't really want to. You know, I worked 40 years for that name.
Right.
You know? I can't choose.
So Greek and Greek. So you guys are like knee deep in yogurt and spinach pie and all that stuff.
You know what I realized? I realized when you marry outside of your, you know, ethnicity, you have a lot of explaining to do. Like I have to, you know, if he would have been not even Italian. Let's say he was Irish Catholic, right? And he comes from an Irish background. I have to explain to him why my father's eating the goat's brain or the goat's tongue or an eyeball. Like, you know what I mean? Like a lot of explanations when you marry outside, unless you marry a culture that believes in eating, you know, goat balls, you know. Oh. It's better to stay in the same, you know, less explaining.
Goat balls. Well, there's the promo.
They're delicious.
They're delicious. I thought they were bad. I couldn't help it. I had to do that. I'm sorry. But so who's that?
I don't know. It's my squeezy ball, because if I don't squeeze this thing, I'll kill somebody.
Okay. All right.
It's my, you know, I think it's a pro wrestler.
It looks like it could be one of the waiters in Gyrolicious, actually, you know.
Yeah, or at Dangerfield's.
So, am I right in saying that before you got into comedy, you were studied and pursued, even in California, like being a makeup artist for like movies and stuff?
I did. I went to Joe Blasco for, I don't know, I think it was a year, maybe a little less than a year. And all the kids that graduated with me are like Emmy Award winning, Oscar Award winning for their makeup. I mean, that's how good the school was, and that's how good they were. And, you know, our class was, but we did the makeup class in the studios, in Hollywood studios. So you would pull in, you'd have clearance, and who's the boss was on that set. who else was on that set? It was General Hospital, Married with Children, and I used to sneak onto the set and film myself like I was an actress. So I was always a clown. So basically I would hang out at the Comedy Store almost every night and watch comedians. And back in 1985, before you were born, there were guys like Sam Kinison, Arsenio Hall. Who else was there? There were so many talented Gary Shandlings. Half of them are gone now. Roseanne Barr. You know, just so much talent. Richard Pryor would come in. You had so many guys that were like superstars after that, like, you know.
Well,
and I wanted to do it.
Two things. First, thank you for thinking I was born after 1985. I appreciate that.
I don't have my glasses on.
No, keep your glasses off. I'm taller and younger when now you can tell, right?
There we go. Yeah.
Okay, yeah, now you can tell. That's great.
But
But
you still look young. You're not old. How old are you? You're in your 30s, early 30s?
no, I'm 42.
Oh, good for you.
Yeah,
What do
man.
you got, Botox in there?
No Botox. No. I probably need some of your makeup, but I wanted to ask you about that first. Did you work on any productions and stuff that we would know?
Well, so I worked in the studio. I did a lot of commercials. I did like Cabbage Patch commercials. We did one movie with, I don't even remember what it's called, with, what's his name? He's a comedian. I used to be in awe of him. Richard Lewis. Not Richard Lewis. Richard Lewis. Yeah, Richard Lewis. The guy who was always going like that. And back then he was famous, so we did a production with him. There's a basketball movie, and I did The Howling Part 5. And I remember they flew everybody to.
Oh, your picture went out. There you are.
I'm back in.
You're back.
Why are they calling me, these kids? I remember. So they flew the whole crew to Africa, and they were like, "We're going to Africa." I go, "Yeah, no, I'm not going to Africa. I'll be in here. I'll wait here. If you guys need prosthetic pieces, I'll make them and I'll send them to you."
Now, why weren't you gonna go to Africa? Racist?
No, you had to get like 500 shots to go, like malaria, this, that, the other thing. And they're like, "Oh, there's bugs there and spiders that could kill you if they bite you." So I'm like, you know what? I'm good. I don't want to go to Africa.
Yeah.
I'm okay. It has nothing to do with the people. I don't want to get bit by a bug. That's why we'll go to Texas, because they got snakes and some weird bugs.
But I mean, did you get into that because you were a big fan of like horror films and stuff like that?
Well, that's where the money is. If you could throw a ball, you're a makeup artist, right? And you do regular makeup. I did regular makeup. I did a lot of models in the city when I came to New York. I did the runway models. But if like all of a sudden they go, "We need a ball cap," I'm like, "I got it. I can do it." "We need a black eye." "I got it. I can do it." I won an award in my class out of 30 kids. Myself and another guy, we won best makeup artist out of the whole, however many kids were in the class. I never thought I would win, because they would say, "We got a project coming out at the end of the month." This kid, we have a project at the end of the month, and you have to prepare for it. So the day of, they'd be like, "Today's the project of the monster," and I'm like, "Today's the project?" And then I'd run into the cinema studios and I would buy a ball cap, ears, prosthetic nose, and I would whip up an alien, and they would be like, so I was actually really good under pressure. So when the main test that I whizzed right through it. You learned everything. You learned mortuary makeup, So I know, so I guess when they called my name, I was like, "What?" They're like, "You won." I'm like, "I won?" the degenerate in the class, because I was all about going out. That was like the 80s, I mean, that was like Back to the Future, and you had big hair and
Yeah.
fun times going out.
But did you was that like something you always like? Did you admire like Rick Baker and people like that when you were younger? Is that
Rick Baker, yeah. Actually, Rick Baker I think he came to our class one time when we were like, you know, I mean,
yeah.
that guy's like, Rick Baker he invented prosthetics, you know. Rick Baker, Dick Smith, all these guys were big makeup artists. But now, you know, there's so many movies and so many makeup people and so much, you know, like there's a lot of talented people out there, you know.
And they do a lot of
Yeah,
they do a lot of the CGI now. They don't do a lot of the real practical effects
exactly.
anymore. Yeah, like I was always a fan of the old animatronics, you know, all the old Henson Creature Shop stuff, but they do less and less of that now because they're doing everything with computers. So, are you able to still conjure that up? Like, are you the great mom who makes the costumes for Halloween and stuff like that? Like,
Yeah.
what have you made for your kids? Have you made them into corpses, zombies, things like that?
My son, I made into I made my son into a zombie. I, you know, blew out half his face
Right.
with latex. So, I mean, my daughter didn't really want to be a zombie ever. So, you know, my friends mostly use me. They would use me. They'd be like, "Can you make me, you know, buckwheat?" I'd be like, "Yeah." Can you make me, like I could do anything. I can make anybody anything. You know what I mean? Can you make a thing coming out of my head? Yes, I can. I can do all of it.
Wow.
So I just
So then you were there in Hollywood at the studio, and you would sneak on to the Who's the Boss sets and all that stuff. Did you ever run into like different people? Like, was Tony Danza there going, "What are you doing here, Angela?" That's my Tony Danza. It's horrible Tony Danza. But did you ever run into anybody?
no, but I had a boyfriend who was on a baseball team, and Tony Danza was on the softball team, whatever. Tony Danza was on it, and you know, we all went out to eat after the game, and he asked me a question, and I was like, "Oh yeah, you know, we're in New York." And this is right after the Trade Center came down, and he goes to me. I go to him. Oh, I go, Tony, how long have you been in LA? He was like, I don't know, 25 years. And I go, wow. I go, and you still have like that New York accent. That's awesome. And he goes, who the fuck are you to tell me my fucking accent? So he attacked me, and I was like, I go, are you kidding, man? I go, you being serious? Like, are you serious? Like, I thought he was joking. He lunged like,
Wow.
and he freaked out on me, got up and went to the bathroom. Oh no, before he went to the bathroom, I go, listen, dude, I come from New York. I go, we just got attacked. I'm proud of being a New Yorker, and I'm proud of my accent. I said, so if you feel like I disrespected you by saying you're a New Yorker, I apologize. I said, because you know, meanwhile, my boyfriend at the time is kicking me under the table. You're going to ruin my chances with Tony. So he gets up and goes to the
But
bathroom.
how could he not know he has an accent? He's famous for having that Tony Danza accent.
What I would have said now, because I was an asshole back then, I would have said, what? Are you serious, dude? Your name is Tony. You suck as an actor. Every role you've ever gotten was Tony. You never had any part that they didn't name you Tony. And that's because of your accent, asshole.
And
But
he
I
made a
did
very big career out of it.
right.
Yeah.
And I didn't say it because I was like dumbfounded. Like, what?
And
What did he just say to me?
was
This
there
dick?
ever a resolution? First of all, I'd like to point out that I've never heard of Tony Danza being mad at people. He's usually the happiest person in the world. You're the first person to ever tell me that Tony Danza lunged at you. So what was
Not
the
much, but like he was yelling like at the top of his
he was
lungs at the
he was
table in front of
genuinely
25.
he was genuinely offended.
The guy's a dick.
Wow.
Okay,
Tony
I
Danza.
hate to break it. I hate to break it to you, but
Wow.
when he came back from so when he got up and left, his manager or whoever that was apologized to me. I go, listen. I go, I don't. What's wrong with that guy? I go.
Yeah.
He goes, no, my boyfriend was kicking me under the table not to start with this guy, just take it, right? So I was like, because I'm not really petite and I don't hold back, you know? So I held back and I was like, I just was like, I apologize. Like, it was so weird. And this is, again, another spoiled ass bag from Hollywood that thinks who the fuck they are and they can talk to anybody the way they want to talk to anybody. That's basically what it is.
But how did it end? Like, did he come back and did he say, what did he say when he came back?
Yeah, he said, I'm sorry for my outburst, and he sat down.
Actually, he said, I'm sorry in his accent.
Hey, listen, Carie, I'm sorry.
Yeah. I didn't.
Okay.
I only got excited for you said I had a New York accent when I am what you call a Shakespearean thespian.
Yes.
Jesus Christ. I have never heard that you're the first person to ever get into a fight with Tony Danza and you have nothing nice to say.
Am I really?
I don't know.
I'm the only one that experienced dick face? Bullshit. I don't care. I don't care who you are. If you hung out with that guy, I'm telling you right, unless you're famous, because I found out Rosie O'Donnell 2 days before or 3 days before he was on the Rosie O'Donnell show, and she said the same thing to him, and he didn't say shit to her. So I didn't know that. So he probably thought I was rubbing it in. Like, I don't know what he thought.
Yeah.
Oh, but he took out on me what Rosie O'Donnell said to him on live. You know what I'm saying? I think that's what probably happened. He couldn't yell at her because she would have beat the shit out of him.
Yeah, I think Rosie O'Donnell would win in a fight against Tony Danza.
100%. My money's on her all the way.
Yeah, she's the boss. So then you're doing all this stuff. You're doing stuff with the makeup, and that's what I guess your passion is. But then by happenstance and by osmosis, you're hanging around the Comedy Store, and you start to get into comedy that way, right? And you see all these comedians, right?
Yes.
And
yes.
Did you become friendly with any of the people from the Comedy Store?
Friendly. Very.
Oh.
No. I started dating a guy named Rick Corso. Very funny, very talented writer, comic, whatever. And because, I wasn't a comic back then, because my motto was you don't date comics if you're a comic, right? But I wasn't a comic back then, and I went, and then I moved to New York, and we had a long distance relationship. But he loved me, I loved him, but it was too far. And then I met him in Florida, and I did a week with him at, I want to say, I don't remember. It was some club in Fort Myers.
You did a week with him.
You
mean you did it? You did shows?
I did a week. No, I hung out with him for the whole week there, right? And then I went back to New York, and he went back to LA. So then after a while, it was hard to keep meeting up. But when what that week did for me, going to the shows, because back then it was Tuesday or Monday to Sunday. So you did a whole week of comedy back then. Comedy was booming. So what that week did for me was make me want to do it. I was just like, because after the show, people were coming up to him and up to all the comics, and it was just a fun life, and it was something that I had to do. I was like, so as soon as I went back to New York, I lived in Manhattan. I joined a comic strip. They had a class, and Gabe Abelson. Do you remember Gabe Abelson? He used to be a writer for
Letterman.
Yeah. Thanks. Yeah. So I took his class, and that was it. History from there.
So then you got into it, and then you become one of the gypsies of the world who's doing all this stuff, and you go all around. When you were with your then boyfriend in Florida, where was he staying? Was he staying in any one of those lofts that they would put all the comics in?
Yeah, a condo, and everybody had their own room, and it was fun. And everybody, it was fun. It was drinking. It was fun. It was so much fun. It was so much fun. I would never change it. The only thing I regret is not videotaping every one of the shit gigs I've done from here to the end of the earth. Like, I've done more shit gigs, and I've had, I wish I would have just videotaped the whole thing.
Well, there goes the next question. Shittiest gig, most interesting, slummiest place you ever played?
So, do you know
Tony Danza's house? No, not Tony Danza.
Tony Danza. No. You know Artie Fletcher?
Yeah, I know
He's a
who he
comic,
is.
whatever.
Yeah,
Okay, he's got a raspy voice.
yeah.
He goes, I got a gig. So I drive to Wilkes-Barre, PA. It's like 4 hours.
Mm-hmm.
I get there and it's a train car. Okay, it's trains, but each train is a hotel room.
Huh.
They converted an old train and made it a hotel. It's a cute idea, right? So I get there and I'm like, oh, it looks cute, whatever. I go to my room, I go to close the door, and there's a condom hanging off the door, a used condom.
Uh,
So I go back into the front desk. I go, you know what? There's a used condom hanging off the door in the room. So I'm not staying here. I
uh,
call up Fletcher. I go, Fletcher, I'm leaving. He goes, what are you talking about? Bonnie Raitt stayed there. I go, Bonnie Raitt? What are you talking about? 40 years ago? I go, I'm not
that's
either you get,
that's Bonnie
I go,
Raitt's
either,
condom.
that's right. And it never left the front
All
door,
she wants to
right?
do is have some fun.
That's right, she did. So anyway, I found the Woodland Pine Inns, whatever. It was beautiful, like top 5-star. I go, you're paying for that, and he did, so it was fine. And then I was happy.
But I
I've
mean,
had a, I've
was the gig
I've,
itself? How was the gig itself, though?
I don't remember. Probably good.
Yeah.
I always have good time, no matter where I go.
Are you originally from? Where are you originally from?
Long Island.
Long Island, so not Brooklyn or the city itself. No.
No, but I sound like a Brooklyn girl.
Yeah. Did you ever play? It's not around anymore, but it used to be around. Pips.
Pips!
Yes. Did you ever play Pips?
Love it. Yes.
And
I played Pips so many times. I loved Ray. I played Pips when it was the original owners,
Schultz.
Marty and the Schultz
Yeah.
brothers, um, and they were such nice guys. I used to play Pips all the time when they were there. Then they sold it to Ray, and I worked.
To
I worked with him.
Ray Garvey. You're talking about? Yeah. Right.
And then the
Ray
next summer,
Garvey. Ray Garvey was a genuine character. First of all, he would never call me Charles. I was always Charlie Goonan. Hey, Charlie Goonan, what are you doing, Charlie Goonan? You know how he talked. You big brick of a man. Yeah. And then
you remind me a little of him.
of Ray, well, he was a much bigger guy. I'm a little guy.
Well, I don't mean like that. I mean like your mannerisms a little bit, your voice, like the way you talk. You remind me a little bit of him. Yeah, he was great. Ray and I were good friends. Ray used to come to my bar and we'd hang out, I used to fix him up with my girlfriends. Ray was a nice guy. I liked Ray a lot.
Yeah, Ray ran that for a while. Him and his brother Murph, and then I think briefly they sold it to Joey Gay, and then it was sold. Away.
No, they sold it to a different guy. Maybe I don't know if Joey Gay had, but they sold it to this other guy, right?
Dominic?
Was his name Dominic?
Was he the guy who owned the place next door? There used to be a bar named Captain Walters next door to that place, and I think that they all became co-owners. But then it didn't last very long. Now it's a sushi place.
Good.
Well, it was the oldest.
Good.
The oldest, I think the oldest comedy club, 1962. I think it even predates.
Those days are over, but they were like, you'd go to Pips, you'd do 2 shows. In between shows, you'd go to Randazzo's. And
Right
you'd
over
have
there.
Clams on a half
Absolutely.
clams on a half shell, shrimp, gigantic rocks. It was the time, man. And people were out partying up and down that strip. There was mess. Where you going now? With a mask on.
Yeah, but I mean, yeah, that was a while back. Yeah, that's a long time ago. Yeah. So then you were also going to Dangerfields and stuff like that. Were you going to Dangerfields in the 80s also?
No. I hit the city in the 90s, and then I started working Dangerfields, comic strip, stand-up New York a little bit. I just didn't like to go to all those, it was like hitting. Jim Norton used to, I don't know how this kid did it, but he would hit like 30 clubs in one night. I'm like, how do you do it, dude? And I had a car, and I would drive myself all around. And I still hated doing it. I hated the pressure of knowing that I have to be on at 9:10 at Dangerfield, and then 9:20 and 9:30 at the Strip, and it, like they left themselves 10 minutes to get to, so most of the times they were always late, and you'd be on stage and they'd be like, stretch, stretch, stretch. I'm stretching, but now you're pushing me back from my set at Stand Up New York. So it was rough. So I love the Cellar because I worked there all the time, and I always got late night spots. So I always got to do the other rooms first, and then I'd come to the Cellar, unless I was hosting. And I did a lot of hosting there too. So, and the Cellar was like right around the block from my house because it was West 3rd and I lived on West 4th.
Oh, so for a while you lived in New York.
I lived in New York for like 15 years.
Oh, okay.
What do I look like? I'm 100.
Yeah, well, that was and then did you chill out at, what is it, the Lemon Tree above? It was the what's the name of the restaurant above?
Olive Tree.
Olive Tree. The Lemon Trees.
Okay, Lemon Tree's a hair cutting place.
Yeah, right. right, yeah. Yeah, that's a while. The reason why I was asking about Dangerfield is because I wanted to know, since you ran into well-known comics, did you ever meet Rodney Dangerfield?
Twice.
And what is your experience? You didn't tell him he had a New York accent, and then he said, "Hey, why'd you tell me I have a New York accent? Hey, who is this?" Because I know you get into fights with New York actors and like Tony Danza.
The first time I met him, I asked him for his autograph, and he said, "No, I asked not for his autograph."
Was this at Dangerfield?
Yeah.
Okay.
I go, I just gotten off stage, and he walked in. And I go, "Can I get a picture with you?" He goes, "No." I was like, "What?" And he went and sat down. And then, I don't know, 20 minutes later, he comes back out like he's going to go to the bathroom. And I go, "Hey, Rodney, can I get a picture with you?" He goes, "Sure, doll, sure." Puts his arm around, I guess the dementia, and he takes a picture with me. Then the next time he was there, I'm getting ready to go up, and him and Danny Aiello and a bunch of people come in, and they sit in the front fucking row. And now I am shaking, sweating. I don't know what I'm going to say. You're talking about a legend, two of them, and Aiello, sitting in front of me while I'm doing stand-up. Now I would have handled it a lot. Now I'm so comfortable in my own skin, I don't care. But back then I was trying to be famous. So now I would have went up, I would have said, "How do I perform in front of Rodney Dangerfield? Are you people crazy putting him in the front?" That's all I would have done. You know what I mean? Like, I wouldn't have been anything, you know what I mean?
Yeah, you would have addressed it and made it into a bit. Yeah. Right.
Right. So anyhow, I got another picture with him that night because he was a very funny doll face or whatever he called me. I don't remember. So I got two pictures. I also met Joan Rivers, who was a spitfire, hilarious. Nobody sharper than her while she's on stage, like rapid fire, destroying this one guy who was talking to her. And I got a picture with her, another legend. Who else did I meet? I don't know.
But now, what'd you say?
All the guys I work with at the Cellar are all now famous.
Yeah, they're all famous now. Yeah.
Jerk-offs.
Jerk-offs.
They don't remember me. They don't remember me now, huh?
Yeah, they're probably in Hollywood hanging out with Tony Danza, speaking the Queen's English. What was I going to say? When you were at the Comedy Store and stuff like that, and you ran into all these guys, I was going to ask you, like, did you have any experiences with Dice or anything like that? I find he's kind of a sweet guy, actually.
Who?
Dice Clay.
Andrew Silverstein?
Yes, Andrew Silverstein, who's from the neighborhood of Pips in Sheepshead Bay.
I know. Well, Dice wasn't very nice to me.
Uh-oh. What'd you tell him he had a New York accent? I'm sorry. I can't get over this now. What happened with him?
So wait. So Dice, these are such great stories. So Dice was an idol of mine because I'll tell you, I used to do Andrea Nice Day. That was a character off of Dice. Okay. And I used to put the jacket on. I used to do the nursery rhymes, but I did them for the women. So when he was playing at Governor's, so Dennis Rooney was in the green room of governors. He opens for him. And I went in and I go, hey, Dennis, what are you doing? Blah, blah, blah. Now, Dice is done. Dennis darts out. Dice comes out. I go, hey, Dice. And he goes, who are you? I go, I'm a comic. I go, I work here. Now, I had left the brokerage, okay, in a rainstorm, and I had a hoodie on, and I was running to my car so I can get to meet Dice and, you know, get a picture with him. And I cracked my head on a fucking sign. Okay. Now I closed the show, so I knew I had enough time to go to Governors, and you know, by the time the next show starts, by the next two comics, I had like at least an hour and a half. Right. So I cracked my skull. I'm like, first of all, I didn't even know what hit me. Right. I thought something fell out of the sky because I didn't see the sign at all. I get there, I got my brain is whatever, my whole head is whatever. And now he yells at me. I go, I know wheels. I go, your ex-girlfriend. Get out. Get out. I go, Dice. He goes, you got to get out. I don't want to talk to you right now. Get out and close the door. So now I turn my camera on and I do a live. He slams the door. I go, I was just thrown out of the room, the green room from Dice. So I did this whole live. Everyone's laughing, whatever. They're like, he doesn't know. I go, I wanted a picture. They go, he should be so lucky to get a picture. Like, everybody was being nice to me, but I just got thrown out. Mm-hmm. So now I'm waiting and waiting and waiting because I go to Jimmy, the owner, get me in there. I want a picture with Dice. I go, he just threw me into the green room. He goes, you went in the green room? I go, I went in the green room. I go, I want a picture with him. So now the waitresses are going by with the food. And I'm like, is it for Dice? Let me take it in. They're like, no, it's not for Dice. So anyway, make a long story short, Chazz Palminteri goes in. He walked right past me, went in. I'm waiting now for Chazz to come out because this is the now you can't leave guy. Now you can't leave.
That's right. Right.
So I'm like, I gotta meet the now you can't leave guy. I have to meet this guy. So he comes out, Chazz comes out, and I go, Mr. Palminteri, can I get a picture with you? He goes, absolutely. And he's a tall man. He's like 6'3". I didn't think he was that tall. And he puts his arm around me, good looking man. I take the picture and I posted it because after the live, I go, I don't care about Dice anymore. I got Chazz Palminteri to take a picture with me. And that was it. So that was my Dice story. Right. Who else hates me in the business?
Yeah, who else have you gotten into altercations with? So far, Tony Danza doesn't like you. Dice doesn't like you. Joan Rivers liked you. Rodney forgot who you were. He forgot where he was for a couple of seconds.
Yeah, so then he liked me.
Right.
Who else doesn't like? Who else? I met Paulie from Rocky. He loved me.
You mean Burt Young?
Yeah.
Yeah, Burt Young lives in Long Island, doesn't he?
Yeah, he came to my show. He was at the theater when I was performing.
Yeah.
And he was like very talented, very funny. I was like, thank you, Paulie.
And you're friends with Kevin James, aren't you?
Well, I don't know about friends.
Well, not enemies. You never said anything about the way he speaks.
Kevin and I started together. Kevin Gary, his brother, and Rock Rubin, Mike Rubin now, we're all in the same clubs every single night. We were in an improv group together. So it was like, me and you are friends, right? Now you go and make it famous. You know what I mean? But you don't call me anymore. You know what I mean? So when Kevin got his show, all the comedians would call me like, did you see the show? Did you see the show? Did you see the show? I'm like, why? I'm trying to figure out why is everybody calling me about Kevin's show? What? No, I haven't seen the show. So Joey Cola, I'll never forget it. He calls me up. He goes, did you see Kevin's show? I go, Joey, can you tell me why is 9,000 comedians calling me about the show? He goes, the wife is you. I go, what? He goes, he even gave her your name, Carie. That's the rumor. Or that's the, whatever. I don't know if that was really me. If he thought of me. Maybe he did. I mean, I had a great personality back then.
There you go. You could have been one of those
I
actors.
could have been Leah Remini.
You could have been co-opted by the Scientology people and now be a crusader against them.
Well, when I saw them in LA, I go, nice of you to give the wife my character and my name. And he goes, yeah, she's a lot like you. I go, well, does she have a cousin or anything? I'm a sister. Does she have a sister?
Right,
Because I
exactly.
had brown hair. I had brown hair back then. I was very skinny. So, you know what I mean? The fact that they named her Carie.
Yeah, let me have the part.
Another.
Exactly.
So when he came to New York, Rock called me up. He goes, well, Kevin wants you on the show. What are you doing Friday? I said, let me check my schedule. I go, nothing, Rock. Nothing. I'm doing nothing. Let me see. Let me cancel the pizzeria that I was supposed to be doing.
All right.
And that was it. That was it. He gave me the spot on the show, so I did Kevin Can Wait. Kevin's a nice guy.
Yeah. Well,
He
that's
took
good.
care of his friends.
At least you don't have all enemies. That's good. I'm happy to see it's
Not all of them. No, not all.
the tide is turning a bit in this conversation. That's good. Now, show business is a peculiar thing. Now, didn't you have, I guess, a bunch of years back now, a pilot that you shot of your own?
You know all this about me. Where'd you dig this crap up?
Huh? I asked Tony Danza. He's
I
following you around. Yeah.
At the time I had a pilot going, and I wanted to tell Tony to go F himself, but I wasn't famous yet. A guy by the name of Vince Morris, very talented black comic, who was extremely neat, very together, kind of like Urkel, but very good looking. And the showrunner was Ralph Farquhar, who has done millions of pilots, and they all were successful. He did Moesha, he did the Parkers. I mean, the list goes on and on and on and on.
So you were the only white person he was going to do a show with?
I don't know. I think he's done white shows since then, but you got to look him up. Everything he's touched turned to gold. So he finds me and Vince, and he puts us together in a modern day Odd Couple. And I'm a bartender, and I'm a slob. I'm Oscar, and Vince is Felix. So they put us together. They go out to dinner, see if you guys get along. We come back, and I go, he eats chicken wings with a fork. Yeah, so they were like, you guys are perfect together. You guys are perfect together. And so we were perfect together. We shot the pilot. It was great. I thought it was great, but then September 11th, it was like the time that September 11th happened. So Fox held the pilot for like 4 months, and my agent was like, you guys are totally in. They never hold a pilot this long unless they're going to shoot it. And they got canned 4 months later. And then I tried to get on Greg Giraldo's, and I didn't get on that. And I was perfect for that, but they went with a blonde. Greg Giraldo's pilot was about the Comedy Cellar. They had a guy playing Patrice O'Neill. They had a guy playing Jim Norton. Instead of having Patrice O'Neill play Patrice O'Neill, a guy playing Jim Norton, have Jim Norton play Jim Norton.
Yeah.
It was just, and then they had a New York City bartender I'm a New York City bartender. They had this little skinny, well, I was skinny too, so it wasn't like I was fat, but they had this little blonde, and she was like, hey. And that's not a New York City Village bartender. You know what I'm saying? So they made a million mistakes, and then that's why the show never got picked up. And Giraldo was brilliant. And when I read the script, I was like, did Greg write this? They're like, because I wanted to say it was horrible. I go, did Greg write this? And they go, no, the writers wrote it. I'm like, so.
What was the name of your pilot?
It was The Odd Couple. It was called The Odd Couple. It was the modern day Odd Couple, Felix Oscar.
So it was literally a reboot.
A remake, yeah.
Oh, because they wound up doing that, I think, unsuccessfully.
And it wasn't good. It wasn't good. But if they would have picked up mine, it would have been hilarious, and it would have been a hit.
All right. Everybody's friendly. Don't be excited. But, It's all right.
How could you not get excited when there's so many near misses?
Near misses, yeah, man. That's the way it is. But now, not too long ago, only very recently, you did your own special now for Crackle. How did you get with the Crackle people, and did you also get approached by Snap and Pop? Thank you.
That's funny. Well, I'll tell you that story, but I have to put lipstick on.
Of course.
So the guy saw me at the brokerage. Sal Governelli from
How it's done.
yeah, I think I don't know. They all went out. Whatever. I don't know how it happened, but I was at brokerage. He saw me. The guy who runs or is involved with making the Crackle special, and he saw me. They liked me. They shot my special. They put on Crackle. COVID hit. So the other disaster in America was the World Trade Center. And now I do my special and COVID hits. So I can't even go touring. I can't even push. I can't push the special. I can't, you know. So I have decided to give up.
Oh, so this is your final interview. Wow, I get the final interview. Good thing you put lipstick on for that. But do you believe that perhaps you deciding that you have a break brings on these tragedies to the universe? Do you think perhaps that's what you're doing?
No, I believe that God intervened
What do you mean? Like
on both.
God's not a fan? God's a Tony Danza fan? God doesn't want you to succeed?
No, God, Jesus. Thank God Jesus intervened. I'll tell you why, because Hollywood is all pedophiles. So everyone's talking about, Epstein's Island and all the stars go there. So maybe that God, saved me from that.
Yeah, it's probably the pedophiles. That's what I think whenever I don't get a pilot. What was I going to say? I did a pilot the other day. I did a
For
pilot.
who?
I did a pilot. I fucked him right up the ass.
What airline? What airline?
Yes. Exactly. What was I going to say to you? So, what did you think of your Crackle special? Did you like it?
No.
You didn't like it. You're not a fan of it. You don't watch it yourself.
No.
You don't recommend it? No?
Look, do I recommend it? Do I recommend it? Yes, because I guess people still think it's funny, but I know what I could have done better. What had happened was I'm on stage. You know Andre Kim?
No.
Comic, very funny, Asian kid. He goes on before me, opens it up. I go on. I'm 7 minutes into my set, and the smoke alarms go off. And I'm like, couldn't this happen when the Asian kid was on?
Right.
Fucking kidding me? And they laughed, whatever, and they're still beeping, and they go, everyone has to evacuate the building, and they have to wait for the fire department to come, and they have to come back in. Like a half hour later. Seriously, I have to go back on, do the same 7 minutes, and not miss a beat. Thank you.
So the audience
So I did.
already heard this, and you have to start again. Did they laugh anyway?
They did. They did. I changed the endings a little bit, but then we skipped through, then I popped into my other material. But again, it just, I did a good job, but what I normally do in a real room, like how I feel the energy from the crowd. It was a Wednesday night. It was only one show. Usually 2 shows are filmed, when you do a set, it's always 2 shows. So this was one show. It's like if you mess up one thing, the next show that you film, you could always drag from that,
Yeah.
But that's not how it went down. So it is what it is. It's fine. I'm good with everything.
Oh, so you give a ringing endorsement to your own piece here. But
well, look, I'm giving an endorsement because there's no other choice.
you get a piece
But
of it?
if you come out live and see me, it's different. It's a different experience.
Yeah.
Get it?
Yes.
All right.
If don't yell at me. It's, you know what it is? You think I'm Tony Danza, and I'm not Tony Danza. Tony Danza has a much better house. But okay, so
And a prettier wife. I don't know what your wife looks like, though. I can't
I'm
say.
not married. I wanted to have spinach pie with you, but anyway,
Wait, why wouldn't you be married?
why wouldn't I be married? I'm just not. I'm not.
Yeah, why? You're such a gem.
Oh, thanks. That sounds so believable coming from you. But what was I going to say to you? Did they produce it for you? You didn't have to put any money up for Crackle, right?
Yeah, they did everything.
And do you get a piece of it if people subscribe?
What do you think? Of course.
So then why don't you tell people it's great? You're yelling at me.
No, because I'm very humble. I'm very humble. No, I'm very realistic. Like, it is great. If you see it, you'll say it's great, and you'll be like, "That was great. That was a great, not pilot. That was a great." But I know what I do live. You never have. Do you perform?
Mm-hmm.
You do. Do you perform? I'm asking you a question.
Yeah, I've been saying.
Okay. You're going like this. All right. So you know the difference when you hit it on and when when you're different. But I slowed it down a little for the type of for the special.
So
Can't explain it.
you also
So why don't you go get it? It's on Amazon. It's $10. Go rent it and you tell me what you think. It's only $10.
nah. But look, what was I going to say to you?
You're such an asshole.
What was I going to say to you? Do you also feel like now you got to throw that stuff away and start over again with all fresh stuff, right?
But you always write new stuff, don't you?
Yeah, but I mean, considering that you don't think it's the best version of that stuff, it's like, fuck, you know what I mean?
You're not understanding what I said. I didn't say it sucked. I said I'm not. So, like, if you say to me, would you want to do it again? Yes, I would. And I would want to shoot 2 back to back.
Yeah. Okay.
Without a fucking fire in the building.
Yes. Without the fire.
Right, because people were there for hours, you know what I mean? And it was exhausting, like whatever. I know a couple of my friends that have had specials, and I'm like, that's not the best that they can. But the show, people have seen it, they're like, oh my God, the show is hilarious. But I know what I can do.
Right.
That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying.
So what do you have coming up? I know you're doing shows. You're doing live shows again, and live shows are coming back. But do you have any projects you're working on? The Odd Couple Part 3, anything like that?
No, it's over.
For a while, you did something like this. You sort of did a podcast. You did the Two Chicks podcast, didn't you?
2 tired twats.
Well, it has 2 titles online. One of them is that, yes. One of them.
All right, so here's how it started. Patty Roseborough, a very talented, very funny comedian, wants to call it. I wanted to call it Hot Flash. I wanted to call it Steamed Clams. I wanted to call it all these other names, right? It was like now Chick Chat. So I thought it was kind of corny. So we were doing Chick Chat, right? And then Kevin Brennan, who's a good friend of mine too, he's like, Chit Chat's not a good name. You're never going to get it, you're never going to change it to Two Tired Twats. I'm like, I love it. Patty, let's change it to Two Tired Twats. And she's like, no. I go, really? No, we're not twats and we're not tired. She's like, you're right. Let's change it. So we did. And, it was a lot of fun. She's very funny, very talented. And, that's it. We did it for we did about 100 episodes.
Yeah, you have a bunch up there. I was wondering why you had stopped, though, because during the lockdown and stuff would have been perfect to keep doing that, even if you were doing it like this.
I know. Well, we used to go into the city. We used to do it at the comic strip. I think once COVID hit.
Can't hear you.
I said once COVID hit, it kind of ruined everything, don't you think?
Well, a lot of people wound up doing more stuff during lockdown like this. You can't do it live, but you could do it like this, though. So I was just wondering why you should bring it back. Didn't you have other people on? Did you have Tim Dillon on there?
don't think I had Tim Dillon on. No.
No, he mentioned you on Rogan. You know that?
He did? What did Rogan say?
Nothing. He was showing, I think, a clip of that show or a show similar to that where you guys were sitting around and talking. And he goes, "That's Carie Karavas. She's a very funny comedian." This is
Joe Rogan doesn't know?
Tim Dillon told. I guess now you hate Joe Rogan. You know, he has a New York accent.
I don't hate Joe Rogan. I don't hate him.
Okay.
But I have stories about Joe Rogan.
Oh, go ahead, please.
Joe Rogan knows me very, very well. So if he mentioned me, not that well, like I didn't sleep with him or nothing.
You know, he would recognize your name because in this
150%.
Okay.
I started with Joe Rogan.
All right.
Yeah, he Carie Karavas, yeah, he knows my name. He knows exactly who I am.
Okay.
But I didn't know Tim Dillon said my name on that show.
I believe
Tim Dillon, if I'm not mistaken, he's a little heavy set guy.
he's a heavy guy. Yeah.
Okay, I know who Tim Dillon. Tim Dillon is my dentist's friend's son. But anyway, so when he told me about Tim Dillon, so Tim Dillon called me the gyro lady, which I loved because I had a gyro place at the time. And he's like, well, he bashed kind of like governors. So I wrote him, I go, listen, dude, if you want to work governors, you can't bash the club, especially governors, you know? So whatever, you know. And that was it. I go, but thanks for the shout out as a gyro lady.
All right.
And that was it. But Joe Rogan knows who I am.
Okay, I believe you. I believe you have no altercations with him. Nothing where he yelled at you and his agent had to apologize or anything like that.
Oh no. We've had altercations.
Oh, like. I love these. I like that you want to talk about this. I'm happy that you want to tell me these.
No, I'm not going to talk about it because it's, you know, whatever. It was a long time ago. But if you ever talk to Joe, tell him what happened at Grandpa's Shooting Stars in Staten Island for a night with Big Frank D'Amico.
Oh, wow. Okay. I guess we'll have to leave that open.
But, you know, then Joe went on to become a gazillionaire, rich, Hollywood. You know, he did the that show where he eat bugs.
Yeah, the Fear Factor, yeah.
He was very, very good at that. The kid had a lot of talent anyway, but he was very good at that. And then he did the podcast, right? Now he got picked up by $100 million or something like that was offered to him.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah, so maybe that'll happen to you.
Oh, sure. Especially now that I have the big scoop about everything you told me right now.
Here's what bothers me, that my neck is like silly putty. What the fuck? Look how old I am.
It's all right.
That's why they do this.
Yeah.
You know when you know you're getting old? When every fucking week my phone doesn't recognize my face.
The phone is like, who?
I gotta fight. I gotta do this all day long. Come on, it's me, you prick. I'll turn on. Then I gotta punch in the code. I gotta rescan my face. It's ridiculous. But when you're young and, you know, perfect, I would like to work with you one day.
Okay, well, first you got to get out of the car.
No.
Okay, we'll work in the car. That's very dirty, Carie.
We'll do work in the car. You'll sit there. You do your stand-up there. And I'll do mine here. And it'll be comics in a car without coffee.
Comics in a car getting gyro.
I got a Jerry Seinfeld story, too.
Okay, what is it? Quick. Tell me. What's your Jerry Seinfeld?
Let's just say he's not very nice.
He's not very nice either? Why? What did he do?
He's not very nice. That's all. Now, you know what happened? Yeah. Jerry was filming Comedian.
Yeah.
Remember that movie with Orny Adams?
Yeah.
Remember? So I was hosting The Cellar, and Chappelle was on. So I'm waiting for Chappelle. I'm watching Chappelle from that little doorway, you know. And, you know, there's a light to give to the comic, but I would never give Dave Chappelle the light because that's Dave Chappelle. Guys, okay. Jerry comes down and we're in this tiny little hallway, right? And I go, oh, he goes, I'm going to go on next. I go, oh, all right. I go, Jerry, you're from Massapequa. And then I go, and he puts his hands in my face like this, like, shut the fuck up.
Wow.
I go, did you just put your hands in my face? He goes, yeah, don't talk to me. I'm doing my act in my head. I go, oh my God, seriously? Bye. And that was it. So a week later, I mean, I don't hate the guy, but that was kind of rude. Yeah. And then a week later, you guys got guys like Chris Rock are the sweetest guys in the world. You know what I mean? Like all these famous people are like so nice. But then you get Jerry, right? Who is a comic and knows what comedians go through, right? So now next week I'm showing pictures, sitting at one of those tables, waiting to go on, and one of my girlfriends is there. And I'm showing her pictures of my trip to the French Riviera. He comes sneaking around and he peeks over. And I grab the pictures and I go, beat it. I go, beat it. Let's go, beat it. And he goes, and he walks away. And my friend goes, was that Jerry Seinfeld? I go, yeah. She goes, did you just tell him to beat it? I go, yeah, I did. I did because he put his fucking hands in my face.
That's right. Fuck him.
And she was from, wait a minute. She was from Long Island. And she was so upset that I did that because she was like, I go, he must get, do you really think he was going to take a picture with you? He put his hands in my picture. Do you think he was going to take a picture with you? She goes, but he was looking at our picture. I go, he was looking at your picture. I go, exactly. No, you're not going to do that and get away with it.
Who takes pictures? Who are these people?
Who is this girl asking me if I'm from Massapequa?
Do you have any parting words for Tony Danza? Would you like to say one final thing for Tony Danza?
Tony Danza, I hope you lost your accent by now because it's 30 years later. I hope you don't sound like you're from New York. I will never say that ever again to you, and I apologize. I apologize. I'm so sorry. And
he's the boss. Tell him he's the boss.
And you're the boss always in my book.
Yeah, great.
And Jerry, if you're watching in your car, one of your many cars that you have a building for in Manhattan, I'm sorry I asked you if you were from Massapequa.
You see, you're reminding these people where they're from, and they're getting angry. You notice that? They don't want to admit where they're from. That's what it's about. That's what it's really about.
I don't blame them.
Yeah. All right. We've said it all. Ladies and gentlemen, this has been the Great Goonan Podcast. I am the Great Goonan. I've been talking with Carie Karavas and Tony Danza. Mellow out already with your fancy voice. All right. I'll see you next time, everybody. Peace out.
Peace, baby.
Yeah, man.
Sick in the head.